Hey, I'm back. This is Chandler for Melda Production, and today I'm going to be going over this song I put out 2 weeks ago called Indigo. And last time I showed you part one, and it went over the pad, bass, and drums for the song. But today I'm going to break down all the guitar parts. So let's get started. I'll let you hear this just intro here. So what we have here is, I call this guitar double lead. It's not because it's double tracked, it's because I use double stops in there. And I'll show you exactly what I did. I have this going into our delay throw bus, and what this is just a quick delay. Let me see, I don't have any width on there, it's just a mono delay. And I don't have any vibrato or anything. I just have the ducking on there, and what this does is, when I'm playing and there's signal coming through, it will turn down the delay so you can't hear it, but then when I'm not playing, it'll increase in volume so you can hear it. I just want that because I don't want it being cluttered with delays all the time, but I wanted to add that little ambiance in the tail when it actually matters, like when I'm not playing. I also have a reverb here. I'm using MTurbo reverb. I use this Brie chamber. In the newest version of MTurbo reverb, you see it actually has new GUIs here, which actually look really good. I like these a lot. Anyways, you probably want to hear what the amp and everything sounds like. So for this one, I use this amp called Houston. I actually designed this one myself. This one is just kind of like low to medium gain amp, kind of American style, I guess. I'll solo it so you can hear what it sounds like. So here's mostly clean, but you hear just a tiny bit of grit on there, and that's basically what I wanted for this. Not too out of control, but a little bit of grit you can hear on there. So that's why I used this amp. Turn the gain up a little bit, just to 7, not too much. You can see all the settings here. The next thing here is I have MCabinet. So in this newest version of MCabinet, you see it actually has a GUI and it has these, which are like devices. And so this is one I made called Clean Machine. It has 4 different profiles. You can switch between US Classic, UK Blue, US Vintage, JP Classic. I have this one in US Classic. You can actually blend between these, but here I have it just on the US Classic. It sounded good to me. Use a little bit of room in here too. It gives it kind of like a reverb type sound. I use a little bit of character. I'll show you that in another video, but it doesn't make too much of a difference, just a little bit. So that's what it sounds like there. I use M Auto Dynamic EQ. And the reason I did this was just to cut off the low end. I'll see if I can play something you can hear it. I shouldn't want this to interfere with the bass. You hear it doesn't really make that big of a difference, except for when I'm playing on the lower strings, and it kind of cuts out that bassiness just to make room for the actual bass sound I have. Next thing I used was MTurboamp. I believe I'm using like 4 to 5 dBs of compression, and I just wanted to not have so much of the spike and add a little bit of sustain there. Not doing too much there. I just don't want it to get too loud and poke out too much. And the last thing I have in here is Delay MB. And this is just a slight widening. So somebody made this and it's nice. It actually moves between there. It's automated. So it'll give it a little bit of a stereo effect. I'll let you hear it on and off. It's very subtle, but I think it makes a difference. So when I hear that, it just widens it a little bit, and that's all I wanted from there. Okay, let's go into the next part here. I'll do this guitar plucks, and I'll let you hear what this sounds like. This one, I did something similar. So I did say before that I used all Melda plugins, but I lied. I used this DI fix. And this just adds a little bit of, I don't know if just a tiny bit of saturation, but mostly it emulates what you get from a DI box, which is kind of like a low-pass filter with a hump there. It brings out more of the presence of the guitar. It's a really cool plugin, so I did use that. I cheated. It's not all Melda plugins. Anyways, for this, I also used the Minneapolis amp. There's another one I made, and this one is just very, very clean. Let you hear it. You can hear that. Next one, I have MCabinet. I did the same one. I used Clean Machine. I'll make it a little bit larger so you can see it. And this time I used the US Vintage instead of the US Classic for this. From there, I used MTurboamp. This time I'm using the Meldelli. I don't know. I don't even know how Meldelli. I don't know how you pronounce that. 1176. This one actually does make quite a bit of difference. I'll let you hear it without first. Then I'll put it on. You can hear how it really emphasizes that high end and makes it cut through the mix. So I like that sound, so that's what I did with that. I wanted to kind of poke through, so that's why I did that. And then last but not least, I have this EQ on here just to cut off some of the low end and boost these upper mids and highs and cut off here because I don't want to get into the way of the other guitar that's on pan to the right. This one's pan to the left and the other one's pan to the right, and I wanted to get them some difference, and I didn't want them like interfering with each other. So I'll turn it on and off so you can hear it. You can hear it just kind of lifts the sound out and helps it cut through. Next, I have the other one. This one's double stops. So for this one, I used the Houston amp again. I think I might use the exact same thing for this guitar double lead, which I showed before for the intro, and this one. I actually had these doing the exact same thing at first, and I was going to use just the guitar double lead for everything, but I figured out that I'll have to do too much panning automation, so I just copied everything over. So I believe this is the exact same as the other one. Same amp settings, same cabinet settings, and did I do the same thing here? This one I did. I used the 1176 for this, so you can hear what this sounds like. So hopefully you can hear there how the 1176 gives it like a brighter, kind of like a more cutting sound, which is what I wanted. And then last but not least, I used auto dynamic EQ here just to cut off the lows and highs, because for this one I didn't want to have like that sparkling sound. I wanted that one for the other one, the guitar plucks. So it sounds like this. Not too much difference. I probably should have cleaned up some of the string noise there, but that's okay. Next, let's go into, let me see, should I do the lead here? Okay, I'll do this lead here, lead guitar 1. So I use this for the melody, and for this I used MGuitar Architect. You're probably wondering, why didn't you use MTurboamp and MCabinet, or why didn't you use MGuitar Architect here? There's no reason. I don't know why I did that actually. Later, this MGuitar Architect will hopefully be released, but now it doesn't have any presets. So when I was doing this, I just started with MTurboamp and MCabinet, and it was just easier for me. And then I was like, later, I was like, oh, why don't I use this? And I did. So there's really no reason. But I'll let you see inside if you're not familiar with MGuitar Architect. I have this first one, M Auto Level. What this will do is this will boost the signal of your guitar if it's too low in level, and it'll do it automatically. When you have Enable Analysis here, you can just change the requested level and just play your guitar as loud as you think you're going to play, and it will adjust the output accordingly until you just turn this off. So that way you don't have to like set things yourself. It'll do it for you. Next, I'm going into this. It says amp, but this is actually a pedal, and this is MD1. This is also something I made. You see it's on the fat mode, and this is just giving it kind of like a boost. It cuts off a little bit of the low end, although fat mode, it doesn't cut it off completely, it leaves it a little bit there, and it really just pushes the mids. And then I have it going to this Venus amp that I made, which I wanted to make like a nice like high gain lead style amp. And so it's going into there, and then it's going into MCabinet. I'm using this device called Tingu here that I actually designed, and it's on the M lead here. and then it's going into a doubler here, and then into M delay, which is similar to what I showed you before for the delayed bus. So there's lots of stuff. Let me see, which one should I show you? I'll show you what this sounds like just by itself. There we go. And I have it on this M lead. I'll actually move this around so you can hear what the difference is between this and some of the other ones. So I used this M lead profile because I thought it's cutting off a little bit of the highs. I didn't want it to be so top endy and fizzy. So I decided turquoise back sounds a little bit fizzy. So this M lead, this one sounds, just a little bit more subdued to me. And that's what I wanted. This one is really mid-rangey and almost nasally. And when I listen back to it, sometimes I think, I shouldn't have used so much mid-range. But then other times I think, it really cut through the sound, or cut through the mix. And that's what I wanted, so hopefully that's okay. Here I have the doubler. I'll let you hear this on and off. I want to make this subtle, so I have it around here. Let me move it all the way up so you can hear it, and then I'll move it down. So when I have it on, it's very subtle. I want it to just spread out and give the main sound like some width, but without making it too annoying. Like when I have it up here or in the middle or more, it sounds almost like a chorus. And I don't want that. I just want a little bit of width. And then I have the delay here. And all this is doing, it's adding more width because there's a stereo delay here. So the right and left side are a little bit offset. And that's all I wanted here. I'm using also the BBD delay, so the repeats aren't exactly perfect every time. They're going to be a little bit cut off, like bandpassed each time. So there we go. That's the lead sound. Also have down here, this is the double. It's, I think, almost the exact same thing. Is it? Yeah, it might have. Yeah, it might be exactly the same. I think the only difference here is the cabinet. You see I moved it a little bit, but everything else is the same. And I have it doubled, so you can hear it here. Not perfect doubling, actually, but you get the idea. Hopefully it was good enough in the song. From here, let's go to the B section. And so I still have that lead guitar going, but let me show you here with this acoustic guitar part. So I'll show you here. I have these both going into a bus. I have it panned hard, right and left for each one. So I have MTurboamp here. I'm using this same 1176. I just want to make this even. One thing I should mention here is the link. Usually I have this at 100%, so that way the left and right side are both pushed down the same amount in gain reduction. But when I have it here, they'll actually be treated separately, and that's because I want it to be even in the left and right channels. I don't want one side being too loud. So slight difference there. And then I have M auto dynamic EQ, and you see I'm cutting a lot of low end out. I'm cutting out some of the mids here, and I'm raising the high end. I raise the high end because I want more sparkle. I'm cutting the mid because I don't want this to interfere with the lead guitar. I'll turn it on and off. It makes a big difference. There we go. I'm actually going to turn this off just because it makes such a big difference. I want you to be able to hear these when I go over these separately. I went to M Guitar Architect, same thing, auto level, and that's because I can boost the output more. And then I go in this cabinet. Here's another device I made called Acoustic Resonance. If you saw the video I made before about creating synthetic acoustic IRs, I did that here. And then I have, some different sounds. I'll let you hear this first one here. play it. Not the cleanest playing, but you get the idea. So hopefully you heard the slight differences when I move these around to different ones here. You can also change the other things like the character, but we'll go over that later. I'll do the same thing here with the right one. It's the exact same thing, only thing is I just moved it in a different area. So you can hear what I did there. Fairly easy. The next part was while all this is happening, I have the power chords going on. Sounds like this. I wanted this big guitar sound, and at first I thought, you know what, I'll double track this. But I just made this first one, and after I did, I was like, yeah, it actually sounds fine as it is. So first I have the DI fix, just like before. I'm going in MTurboamp. I'm using this amp Seattle, which I created. It's a really high gain amp. I have it on the Crunch channel. I didn't actually change any of the controls here. I don't know why I didn't do that, but I guess it sounded all right to me, so I didn't need to. In the cabinet here, I use this one, this Tatsu. I have this on Otohime here. MTurboamp, I have this MPI 2500. I'll let you hear this. The only reason I'm doing this is because I didn't want to hear that heavy attack at the beginning, and I wanted it to sustain a little bit longer and have it a little bit more even. Of course, this is already fairly compressed, but I wanted to do just a little bit more to get a little bit more sustain out of this, and that's why I use the compressor. And last, I did M Auto Dynamic EQ. I'm cutting off the low end because I don't want it to interfere with the bass. I'm cutting off the upper mid-range and moving that down because I don't want it to interfere with the lead. And I decided to boost here in the mid-range because this is where I really wanted to fill out. I didn't want it to interfere with anything else, but I thought this mid-range, maybe this can be the place for the heavy guitars. I'll play the whole thing so you can actually hear it in the mix. Okay. Oh, another thing I should mention is in MCabinet, one thing I did is I increased the width here just so it would have some stereo width and it wouldn't be so small. I'll turn it down so you can hear it with it off and then turn it on. So it sounds a little bit bigger, but not quite as in your face when you turn the width up. But to be honest, I didn't want this in your face because if it was like that, it would interfere with the lead instrument. So this does two things. It pushes it back and it makes it bigger. So perfect. And I thought like, oh, I don't even need to double it. Sounds good, at least to me. There we go. That's the power chords. I think there's a few more. I should do this short solo here. Let you hear it. First solo, I used M Guitar Architect. Whoa, where is it? First solo. Yeah, solo that. For this one, I used the auto level again. I was going to use the tuner, but I turned it off. I think I had this on there, but then I was like, not good. And then I used the phaser, and I had that because I have like so many lead guitar parts. I was like, I don't want them all to sound the same. So for this one, I thought, let me do something different and add a nice effect in there. I used this Kensington amp, another one I made, and then I used this Freeman, which is a nice man on the gear page. Made some really good sounding IRs, and I asked him if I could use this, and he said it was okay. And I thought, you know, I'll name it after him because he's such a nice person. Free man. He gave it to me for free, man. Thank you, Freeman. Sorry, I'm getting off topic. Anyways, that's what's going on here, and then I have it just going into the delay. And I have some width here, so it's actually a stereo delay. I'll play it and so you can hear it, and I'll turn the phaser on and off. So you see here, I also have a little bit of stereo width here, and that just kind of blends it into the background and gives it a different feel because I didn't want the same like lead sound for the whole thing. So I decided, let's mix this one up. And so I used something different for that. And then the last thing I want to show you is the second guitar solo here. So for this one, I believe this is just guitar solo, I think. Did I label this correctly? Yeah, here. So I'll let you hear this. So as you heard, this is mostly the same as before. I have this same MD1 here. And for this one, I'm using Venus again. I want to say it's very similar to what I have on the other one. I have the same M lead, have the same doubler, and the same delay. So it's really not that different than the other lead that I used for the other parts. Or is it? Did I click on the wrong one? Oh no. How foolish of me. So for this one, I have the auto. I have this one. I use Green Howler. Okay, so this is different. I was thinking, why do they sound so different? So I have Green Howler, which is actually similar to the MD1, but I have it on the fat mode, so it's just slightly different. And here I use the Windsor amp, which is very different from the other one. The Venus, I think, is a little bit more mid-range heavy and more gainy, I guess. Whereas this one is, I don't know, maybe more British sounding and more mid-range, upper mid-range focused, I think. This one I use the Freeman cabinet again, and then I have the stereo delay. I'll let you hear it one more time. I'll show it also without this EQ here. So what I wanted to do here was I just wanted this to kind of stick out more. So you see I boosted 800 decibels here. And then I did, where was it? I think I did another boost someplace. No, I cut off the low end here. I just wanted to emphasize those mid frequencies and make it cut through a little bit more. So I believe that's all of the different guitar parts. So hopefully I went over everything, and hopefully I answered every single one of your questions. If I didn't, and there's something you don't understand or something you want to know, please let me know. When MTurboamp and MGuitar Architect are farther along, I'll try to show you more. But now it already has a good number of stuff. So if you look here, the number of different amps and pedals and things, it's actually increased. Looking pretty good, I think. MGuitar Architect, as of yet, I don't believe it has any presets, but hopefully that will change soon. If there's some preset maybe you'd like me to make, let me know and I'll try to make that for you. But I hope this gave you an idea of how this was made. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up, leave me questions down below, and check out all the other plugins at meldaproduction.com. Till next time, see you.